What up, Suns fans? Suns lose unexpectedly to the New Orleans Pelicans, or as I've been referring to them lately as the New Orleans Injuries. Final score, New Orleans 126, Phoenix Suns 124. Suns lose to the New Orleans Pelicans. This is throwing me for a loop here. Okay, we just lost to the now 5-18 New Orleans Pelicans in their home, which they were 3-7 at home before this game. But they are now 4-7 at home. And this game's throwing me for a loop. I'm completely confused here. This is my honest reaction about this game. Because my biggest problem about this game, Suns fans, I'm asking you genuinely, is this a meltdown? I'm leaving it there. I'm not going to call this a meltdown for now. Because for several reasons, okay? A statement I would say to describe this game, it's basically the same story, just different results. I mean, for a while now, we've known that the Suns without KD has been struggling heavily. We definitely thought we found our stride there as Book and Beal are holding down the tent here in New Orleans. They had an all right night, just nothing spectacular. I mean, myself included, and many other Suns fans coming into this game saw this as an easy win. New Orleans, 4-18, bottom of the West, and they've been dealing with major injuries. But of course, just the day before the Suns game, before this game kicked off, the New Orleans got most of their roster back. So yeah, if simple explanation, if you want to know why the Suns lost this one, it's just the Pelicans, they're built as a contending team this year. It's just that injuries have been plaguing them. The Pelicans are not a bad team at all, and neither were the Grizzlies last year, but injuries had held them down so much throughout that season, and it has plagued New Orleans to begin this season. Now, New Orleans is not fully healthy. They are still missing some pivotal players like Zion Williams, but they have most of their players back. Also, the Pelicans, they're just defense. The Suns, unfortunately, did not take care of the ball this game and ended the night with over 17 turnovers, to which they gave up 16 points because of those 17 turnovers. New Orleans had 13 steals, 4 blocks. So really, it was the Pelicans' defense that were able to keep them in this game. It's just rough. I mean, they played a normal game here. They shot 50% from the field. I mean, there's nothing elevating this team. There's no X factor right now. And KD is that X factor, which we've known for a while on this team. So that basically loops back to my point. Is anyone really surprised about the outcome of this game other than just looking at the record for this game? If you look purely at the record, you should say the Suns should win this game. But once you get really down into the nitty gritty and intangibles of this game, the Suns just don't have an X factor leading them. The Suns, they did all right shooting, but they just didn't get enough stops. And as great as they were shooting, they just didn't take advantage of it. That first quarter, Suns came out flat. New Orleans head coach right before this game talked about Booker. If you haven't known, Booker over the last couple of games in New Orleans, he has scored like 50 points and more. So Booker is really a menace in New Orleans, and they were trying their best to stop him tonight, and they definitely tried. And he still ended the night with 28 points, but they were sending mostly double teams, really limiting his ability to play and shot make. So, I mean, Booker just couldn't really reach that high level. The mid-range ball was not falling for him at all this game. Just a really tough night from Book. 6 of 20 from the field, and he shot 3 of 10 from three-point. He had 13 and 14 free throws. It's just an unfortunate night of where Pelicans really just clamped the Suns' offense. Because really nothing was special about the Suns' offense tonight. Really, it was mainly Book. Anytime Book was out there, that was the offense, basically. So a typical play would be they're coming up, half across the half court line, Tyus or whoever's currently holding the ball passes it to Book unless Book's already holding it. And Book tries to shift around and try to get downhill into the paint. And then he could either, if he has a good look, he could take it and shoot, or he could just pass it out to one of his teammates, because Book being in the mid range is a weapon. So that would obviously draw New Orleans defenders towards him. Problem number one is the Pelicans are a really good defensive team, and any attempt Book tried to have getting down into the paint ended up being squandered like most of the times. This game really slowed down around second quarter, third quarter ish, especially the third quarter, because the Suns just did not have a consistent offense. In the later half, there's just really nothing. Book could not be the main driver of this offense because he could never get downhill. And if he did get downhill, then Pelicans defenders would usually be there to grab or stop his passing to other players already on the arc. And yeah, that's the whole game right there. Suns offense just could not get it started. Although there were some heroes of tonight that did not go down without a fight. That defense, man, that's just really rough. And I'm really not surprised about it. It's just like before this game, I've seen the betting odds and like also just doing the injury report for the Pelicans. I noticed a lot of their players had come back. And I know us Suns fans here don't keep up with the Pelicans. So all really people look at it are just the numbers and they freak out about this game. But me personally, I'm not yet there at a meltdown. I mean, it's just the same thing that we've been seeing for a while now, and Pelicans were fortunate enough to be able to have enough of their players back from the injury list to be able to deliver an offensive and defensive performance. And I think a play that summarizes this game a lot was during the fourth quarter, right? It was one of the final plays of the game, but it was a one possession game basically. Book drives down into the paint. He looks like he's about to lay it up. And if you've seen this game, you know what I'm talking about. It's one of the final plays. He goes to lay it up, but last second he swishes it out to Grayson Allen. But the New Orleans Pelicans are there. First of all, they're all over Book in the first place. And second, they're all over the ball as soon as he passes it. And they grab it, turn over, and they quickly run it up the court, and they automatically switch. That basically sealed the game for the Suns here. That New Orleans Pelicans defense just really was the deciding factor tonight, as next time we're going to need a lot better plans and a better offense in general just to have a chance against these Pelicans. I mean, it's still a 2-point game at the end of the day. We still had a chance, but things could have definitely gone better, especially that final play. It actually got it down to a one possession game again, but only had 3 seconds on the clock, and they made the worst inbound play. I don't really trust Book this game with game winners. I know he's the star player on this roster, but I mean, if we're statistically speaking, he was 3 of 10, 30% from the 3-point line this game. He started off pretty hot from three, all those threes, first quarter. That was the only time Book really saw an explosion in his points, as they really clamped down on him during the rest of this game. So that first quarter was just the only part of Book we got to see. Yeah, so, I mean, it's a difficult question at the end of the game if we're talking strategies on how to win, because the Suns could have either, with 3 seconds, there's not enough time, but in NBA, it's basically that's a full minute of real time. So, I mean, the options were either take a three, win the game, lay it up near the basket, someone make a mid-range, and they just tie the game and we go into OT. Or the New Orleans Pelicans just clamp us and they stop the three. And out of those three options, the latter happened, where Booker was slow to his spot, got the ball, and then was immediately double teamed, which was basically what I kind of expected. I mean, I don't know who else I would want taking the three. Maybe Grayson or Royce O'Neal. I mean, just looking at the numbers, Royce O'Neal, who started tonight in place of Kevin Durant, had 19 points, 5 of 8 from three. So he could have been a strong contender even though he wasn't out there, I don't believe, during the final play. Or Grayson Allen, who did splash a three in some of the final possessions to make this a one possession game again to lead us to that 3-point possession. So, I mean, just tough. Pelicans are really a different team when they're fully healthy. I mean, putting it all aside, isn't it kind of crazy? Like, out of every day, like out of all days for Pelicans players, like all of them, not all of them, but most of them, to come back for this Suns game. Isn't that crazy? New Orleans Pelicans, they were on a 9-game losing streak, and we joined the unfortunate club as one of New Orleans' 5 wins this season, joining Denver, Indiana, Portland, and Chicago. So, I mean, that's really just confused. I feel like some fans might be a little angry for not calling this a meltdown, but I just don't see the reason to freak out about this game. We've just known a lot about this for a while. As much best efforts as we've had, we really needed to be better with the ball. 17 turnovers is unacceptable by the Suns. It's just a lot of dumb turnovers to begin this game with. And that was a constant running thing with Suns in recent games, which shouldn't be happening when we have 2 great point guards in Tyus Jones and Monte Morris, who have the lowest turnover rating in the whole NBA. But we use Book as an offensive weapon, so it's kind of like, what? Yeah, very weird. But I guess we could start talking about the stats now. Book, we already talked about him. He had 3 turnovers, but 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and 1 steal. I mean, all right night by Book, but I mean, just kind of disappointed because he had 50-point efforts. His last 2 games here in New Orleans, he scored 104 points by himself. And they really sent the message out there that Book needs to be hounded. It's not like he didn't have any help, but like even then, the role players were just really just kind of not giving much. Bradley Beal played this game. He had 24 points. I'd say this is Bradley Beal's. He had a pretty bad game, right? But I think Suns fans are a little too just kind of critical about Bradley Beal, as he had an all right night. I saw a lot of Suns fans talking about let's have Beal take the final shot, but I wouldn't do that because he was 2 of 7 from 3. Although he did have a clutch 3 in the 4th. The stat is a real thing, all right? I guarantee it, if we're in a clutch situation and we need a 3, Bradley Beal is going to swish one. It doesn't matter how many times he missed that game. He's going to make one. Don't believe me? All right. Well, this game in the 4th, he swished one, and that was one of his 2 out of 7 attempts that he made during this game. There was last game against the Spurs when he swished one, and then there's one in 76ers, I believe was the other example. So Bradley Beal, just this random correlation that I found that he always swishes 1-3 in the 4th. So Bradley Beal, yeah, 7 turnovers. Yikes. Okay, is it me? Well, actually, it's not just me, because I've seen multiple people talk about it. Why does Bradley Beal just never tighten his shoes or gets better shoes? At this point, man, just rock the buckles. Like, come out looking like a leprechaun, dude. I swear, he always has to stop during some game when he's always getting really shifty. Bradley Beal, get those shoes tied, man. And also, that floor was slippy. Like, that was a major reason why Bradley Beal had 7 turnovers. And also New Orleans defense. Those two just don't go well together. And that's really bad. Tyus Jones continues to be an amazing piece around this bench on this Suns team. I love Tyus Jones, dude. Never have anything really bad to say anything about him. He always comes out, he always plays, and he's always a solid piece around that sometimes can score. So he's always a nice treat to have on this team. Mason Plumlee got the starting for Yusuf Nurkic, although he had 4 points. He had 10 rebounds, though, and 2 blocks. Although the Mason Plumlee Linsanity run might be over, folks, as even the New Orleans Pelicans defense was able to get the better of Mason Plumlee, as he did go 2 of 6 from the free throw line, and he just in general didn't complete as many plays as he normally would. Mason Plumlee has had a pretty good last couple of games, so sucks that he wasn't able to come out here and dominate. I already talked about Grayson Allen here. 13 points, 6 rebounds, 10 assists. Weird, strange night for Grayson Allen. I don't know why he had 10 assists, but I mean, he's a solid piece out there, man. But I mean, Grayson Allen did what he could out there. Josh Okogie saw a little bit of minutes there. I've always been advocating for Josh Okogie in the last couple of games, and I guess this is what we finally get. He served what Ryan Dunn would have basically done, except I bet Ryan Dunn would have had better defense over the course of the game, but Josh Okogie, he's more offensively developed than Ryan Dunn. He had 6 points. It's just solved general good minutes. Monte Morris and Oso got some time in there, but they're really not much to talk about other than Oso's huge jam, which gave some energy back to the Suns when they really needed it. I've been waiting for it. This is probably the best part of tonight. You want something to talk about this game. Here's the talking point of tonight's game. Bobo! He played! We love ourselves some Bobo. It's a shame he's just been hidden on the bench for so long, but he finally saw some nice minutes tonight. Although I am overhyping him a little too much, as in that 11 minutes that he played, he had 6 points, 4 rebounds. That's it. That's all he had. I mean, the moments he came out there, I'm talking second quarter, third quarter, that kind of stuff. He actually did pretty well in stopping New Orleans, just rebounding, and offensively, he was able to swish a lot of his mid-range. He was perfect from the mid-range, but that 1-3 is the thing that haunts him. Although, big problem about Bol, he played some minutes in crucial time, and Bol, yeah, he's really bad defensively. There's multiple times I saw Bol just either not make the rotation on the hot Pelicans team during that third quarter, or sometimes they would pass the ball up to Bol, and the Pelicans defense, once again, as Bol did have 2 turnovers. The annoying part about these kinds of games is that, like, we're starting to get into the real dog days of the season, and wins are really starting to matter now, especially in this cramped Western Conference, as now with a loss again falling to 12-9 on the season, the Suns are now back at the 7th seed, and especially with these upcoming games. So our next game is on December 7, which is 2 days, so they have some time to rest, but we'll be visiting the Miami Heat once again, and that is the beginning of a back-to-back with Orlando. So that is a really scary back-to-back, considering Miami just recently blew out the Lakers super bad. That one's scary. And Orlando, Orlando has just been making a huge run. I'm kind of nervous about those 2 games. Although some news on KD, so he's out for a week officially, meaning he'll come back around December 13th or 15th. But also, if you haven't caught it, because of the recent ending of the NBA Cup, the Suns had an 80-game schedule, but there's 82 games, so there's 2 games missing from the schedule, and those 2 games are only scheduled after the new NBA Cup because they have to shift around schedules. But because we missed it, we just get some nice teams, as now we are facing the Jazz and Portland. Jazz should be pretty easy. I don't want to walk into this trap again. It's ironic after tonight's game. Portland, I'm going to be skeptical about, mostly because we kind of almost lost our lead to them last time, and Portland has held their own against teams like the Mavs, and they have beat the Timberwolves twice. So, like, they could get things going, man. Things could get bad. Okay, so I think that's about it, Suns fans. That will do it all for me. Another disappointing game, one we're supposed to win. I get it, but also it's a game where unfortunate unluckiness of Pelicans getting some of their best players back. So, I mean, technically they're always supposed to compete. They just have been unlucky. But we are on the unlucky scale today. But we'll be back on December 7th when we face the Miami Heat. Hopefully that one will go a lot better and Tyler Hero doesn't blast us, okay? So we'll see you then. If you like this content, please remember to like, subscribe, and comment. That stuff always does help out. Let's try forgetting this game, Suns fans, and let's just continue having a good one. All right? I will see you guys later. See ya!